What's up, Saints and Nates? Welcome back to another episode of Music and Makeup. Today's makeup look is going to feature red blush, something that was popularized by the Victoria's Secret's Angels makeup artist. I'm also giving my review on the much anticipated Hatton Garden Holdup by Rome Streetz Darringer, as well as Big 3 by 3WaySlim. So without further ado, Saints and Nates, let's get into it. So for eyeshadow today, I'm going to use the Color Fix in the shade Carrot Top. It's a pretty bright orange, and because I don't want it to be too bright for this look, I'm gonna mix it with some of the Color Fix in the shade Nude 12 to kind of tone down some of the brightness in the orange. Nude 12 is a deep espresso shade. I know it doesn't look like it, but once I take it out of the tube, it's a lot darker than it is. And I think these two mixed together will produce like more of a burnt orange type of color. So I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out. All right, so I'm going to use, mix this Color Fix, and I'm gonna use about this much. That feels like too much, but I want it to mix together. And about 50-50 of this. That looks like probably more. Still more of a brown. I need it to be a bit more orange. Just add a little orange here. Ah, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. More of an orange tone to it. So this is the color that I ended up with. I'm going to actually apply this with my finger first. I find that Color Fix works better that way. Okay, and the inside, I don't know, I gotta get something for that because my nails ain't gonna let me be great. I'm going to use the Danessa Myricks MY17. Just so I can put the rest, get here in this corner. And I'm actually just, like I said, gonna let this dry. Sorry, before I blend it out, because if not, it's just gonna move around everywhere. I'll just really get that. This came out to be a very pretty orange. I'm loving it. I'm just using some of the leftover Color Fix that's dried here to blend it out. And I'm just gonna come back in with this. This is the Miami applicator, the MY20, and just to kind of blend some of that, fluff it back out. I think this is gonna be one color. I might try to give it some depth here in a second. I don't know. Ooh, but I like this brush. Okay, so now that my shadow is in place, let's move on to the base and talk about some of this new music. So to prime my skin, I'm gonna use two products. First, I'm using the Nyx Face Glue, using the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Powder, and this is in the shade 9.5. While the face glue has made a difference in like the wear and the longevity of my makeup, it does not do a very good job of like concealing my pores and giving me that blur that I get with Danessa Myricks. So I'm just gonna use the glue first, then the blurring balm powder, and then the foundation for my base is set. And of course, with the glue, it says dime size amount. I might use a little bit over, about this much. And I pay special attention to the places where my makeup tends to break up the most. And I kind of let that sit there and kind of get a little tacky. I'm just gonna put a smidge more on my nose because that is also where my makeup tends to separate. All right, and then now I'm going to apply the blurring balm powder. I just scoop, I didn't show y'all, but I just scoop some out like this and put it onto my palette and heat it up that way with a brush, and then put it across my face like so. The brush that I use is the Danessa Myricks My Kitco collaboration. This is the large angle brush, and just on that same palette down here, oh excuse me, I'm just gonna take the blurring balm, and just like that, just hit it that way. So let's talk music. 3WaySlim recently released the Big Three, and this comes after his 2023 collaboration with Monday Night called Good Company. Evangelist and Kwanzaa are two of my favorite songs from off of that album, so if you have not heard it, go take a listen to it. You will not. Big Three is 9 tracks long, and it features production from Psycho Sid, Grey Matter, Tervada, Boise, and Boredom. The album only has one feature, and that's from Damo Genesis. And so when I first heard this album, one of my very first thoughts is there is a lot of introspective bars on this. And I like that because it gives a peek into who the artist is, but on their own terms, because, you know, that is what art is supposed to do, a way of expression. And that being said, I'm going to share with you all some of my favorite songs from off of this album. The album starts off with Rapper's Curse, and it's produced by Psycho Sid, and that's what's playing now. The bass on this beat really gives it this mellow type of vibe, and Slim is rapping with like level of like palpable intensity. One of my favorite lines on this song is, "I got that dog in my pocket, no Pomeranian." I like that. That's a nice metaphor. I'm gonna do a little color correction using the Fenty Beauty We're Even concealer. This is in the shade 480N. I'm gonna really try to stay away from yellow based concealers because they've been doing me dirty lately. And just gonna cover the places where I have hyperpigmentation. All right, so now that I've got the concealer applied, I'm just gonna let that dry so that it doesn't move all across my face. I'm just gonna pat that into place, not to move it around. And then just on the outside to get the line. Next, I'm gonna use the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Tint, and this is in the shade 14. And I'm going to use, I count like in swirls, but I'm gonna use about this much. I'll start here, and then if I need more, I will add more. And I usually use a brush to paint the skin tint on, and then I will buff with my Sephora 71 brush. I'm gonna buff this out using my Sephora 70 brush, and that's just gonna buff this in to my skin. So Rapper's Curse goes right into Richmond Raceway, and that's also produced by Psycho Sid. And I love the guitar sample on this. It really gives the beat like this feeling of something you would hear playing like in the menu screen of a racing video game. So that's like an added touch. I love when all of those things, all those little pieces like all work together. And Slim also uses a lot of racing and car metaphors on here. So like for instance, I'm passing my limits, high speed chase, lap to the finish. So that's what I mean. And there's another bar in here too where he does something with Century, Buick, and Regal. And another quotable I like from off of here is, "If you can't grow, you can't go. I'm out of patience." And honey, that's a bar, a sermon even. So now let's get into this blush situation. I'm using the Danessa Myricks Color Fix Mattes, and this is in the shade Primary Red. I'm going to apply this to my cheeks. I use about this much here, and that's only because with Color Fix, a little bit goes a long way. And so I put this on the palette, and I'm just gonna use this brush to spread it across and work it into my brush. Just really work it around it because I want it even on them bristles, so I have an even application. Okay. I know. I like it. It doesn't seem, it's not as harsh as I thought it was gonna be. Let me find out that red blush is what I was supposed to be wearing the whole time. But yeah, it does look a lot more natural than like the pink blush looks on me. I gotta kind of blend this out some more. I'm liking it. 10,000 Hours is another song that I like from off of here. This one was produced by Foisey. I really like the hook too on this. This is something, for whatever reason, I can really feel like the hook would really go off live. Like, I don't know why. When I hear it, I just imagine like it being played at a live show and like the crowd reciting it. Yeah, I feel like this will go hard live. I'm gonna just do a little bit more since it's not too crazy. I hope I don't go overboard. And I'm just gonna do the blush. I think I'm gonna use pink powder maybe this time. This side is fine. Oh yeah, I like this red blush. Oh, this is gonna be it. It's not bright. I can't really describe the difference, but it's a whole lot less intense than when I'm using like a pink blush. The bar I like the most off of this, there's really two of them. The first one is really on the hook. You gotta finish. Time on this earth is finite. And ain't that the truth? That's how I live. There is a limit on how long we are here, and you really need to finish. Do the things that you say that you want to do. And the other line I like from off of here is life. This life shit's like a cycle, no carousel. And it really is. Cycles that close, cycles that begin, ones that end. And as long as we just remember that life, Blue Navy says life is a series of adjustments. This is the same thing, that we're going in cycles and circles. I appreciate it. Now I want to move on to highlighting and concealing. So now we're going to move on to highlight and contour. And so to highlight, I am going to use the Fenty Beauty Wear Even Concealer in the shade 370N. I am also going to mix it with a little bit of the 480N because this is entirely too bright for me. And yes, I have started putting it on the palette this way. I know I'm just maturing. This way I have more control over how much and where it's going. I've applied the concealer. Now I'm gonna let that just dry down before I blend it out. That way it's not slip sliding all over my face. Now with my MY3 brush, I'm going to go and blend this out. I'm not gonna use the little cat paw because I've already used that to apply. I'm just gonna get this outside here to diffuse some of that. Now to contour, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Matchstick. This is in the shade Espresso. This is one of my favorite products. I've used other things to contour, but nothing is messing with my baby Espresso. Another song that I like from off this album is playing and queuing up now. This is called Black Magic. This is one of my favorite songs in this album. This is another one where the beat really matches the theme and the tone of the song. It's got a real nice vibe to it. I keep talking about introspection on this album. This is what I was talking about. This song is a great example of that. I love when I can connect with an artist, like something that they're saying, and can feel that same mood. A lot of this on this song. I'm just gonna blend in my contour really, really well with the My Yummy Shaper brush. And then I just kind of bring that down because, you know, this is how I catfish my extra large forehead. The song that's playing here now is one of the first songs that I really took to on this album, so to speak, and this is no exceptions, featuring Damo Genesis, and it's produced by Grey Matter. I love the production on this track. You know your girl loves a good soul chop, so I was immediately taken in when I heard the beat. As y'all know, on beats first, rhymes second. It was a really good feature choice because Damo Genesis does really well over Grey Matter production. So this was a win all the way around. And I like the contrast and the intensity between Damo and Slim as they would go back and forth. Big 3 is out now on all streaming platforms. I have also linked it in the description box. Go check that out. Let me know in the comments if you got a chance to check it out and what you think. So next I'm going to set my under eye using the Huda Beauty setting powder. I'm going to mix these two shades. This is Cinnamon Bun and Sugar Cookie. If you follow me on TikTok, you notice that my Pat McGrath Sublime powder was destroyed over the weekend, and I'm currently looking for replacement suggestions because the lid on that Sublime powder breaks too easily, and I'm just not spending the $40. So if anybody has a suggestion of one with a good sturdy lid, let me know in the comments. I am looking. So I'm gonna mix these two powders together. I'm gonna mix a little powder in here in the lid there, and then a little of the Sugar Cookie, about that much, because I just want it to, and I'm gonna just shake it around. I just want it to lighten up a little bit until I get some pressed powder. This is just a quick fix until I go to Sephora tomorrow or wherever I'm gonna go. All right, and since I pressed that in here, I'm just gonna tap off the excess, like really tap, 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 tap. Next up in my rotation of albums, we have the much anticipated project from Rome Streetz Darringer, the Hatton Garden Holdup. Griselda fans have made no secret of the fact that they've been wanting to hear Rome over more Darringer's production, and they got their wish with this 13-track album with features from Schoolboy Q, Mayhem Lauren, Conway, and Cormega. All right, I think I like how this is working as far, I mean, this will do, like I said, for tonight as a press powder. So let's get into some of my favorite songs that are off of this album. So the first one is playing now. This is Ace of Base, which is like the intro to the album. So there's one bar that I really like in here. It's life's a bitch, so I fuck her missionary, face to face. I was blind until I saw the sign like Ace of Base. And if y'all are too young to remember, Ace of Base had a chokehold on the 90s with that song, I Saw the Sign. So that was like a really nice callback to that. Another song I've been feeling is Starbucks. Now, I think that was the first single off off of this album. I could be wrong, but it was this track that really got me excited for this project. I think this beat is perfect for Rome. It reminds me a lot of Revenge on Flip's Leg. It has that same kind of feel, and he really floats and does his best work on those type of beats. My favorite verse from this particular track is, "Your mind stuck on lack, I only attract abundance." And that's my type of carrying on. I do not like to focus on what I don't have. I like to focus on what I do have and what's coming. All right, and now I'm gonna take the cinnamon powder and I'm going to set the rest of my makeup with that. All right, so now I have all my powder in. Now I'm going to bring my makeup back to skin with the MAC Fix Plus spray. I'm gonna spray that on this puff and apply it to my face. All right, and so another song that I like from off of here, and it's playing now, this is Protro featuring Conway the Machine. I feel like this beat is signature Griselda. The bass line goes stupid, and I like the hook on this. The thing about this beat, when we talk about like themes and things matching, this gives a very like Ocean's 11. There are a couple beats on here, but this one in particular struck out to me. It gives very heist Ocean's 11 kind of vibe to it. I forgot to put a brighter powder under my eye, but I don't care. This is what we're rocking with. Overall, this was a great collaboration between Rome and Darringer. The Hatton Garden Holdup is streaming everywhere. I put a link to the album in the description. Let me know in the comments if you've heard it. Let's get into the lip combo. I'm gonna do this to soak up any oil. I found that my lip liner works so much better when I've started doing this. So y'all know I like to be around the internet, see what I can see. I think it's Jermaine Dupri that said it. I could be wrong. A couple of people have echoed the sentiment. Shit, I've echoed the sentiment. Talking about that there are no more real singers anymore because people are not going to church. Like, kids aren't going up to church. That's how come we don't have any singers. And I agree. I say that all the time. I say we don't have any good singers, not just singers. We don't have good musicians anymore, or true musicians, because, you know, we don't have people that grew up playing the drums at church or the guitar at church or playing the piano at church. So agree, like, that was the pipeline, the musician pipeline, and we have somehow lost it. And I really feel like you can't address the issue of not having more singers that come up in church unless you address the issue of why there aren't more people going to church. That's really what the crux of this is. I'll give you some of my reasons why I feel that people aren't going to church more. And again, a lot of the onus, some of these things are on the church to fix. First is the attitude of the people that attend church. Church does not have very good PR. I'm going to be honest with you all. Wasn't it just recently Shawnee O'Neal, or Shawnee, I forgot what her new maiden name is, but her husband was saying, you know, you shouldn't be around poor people because the spirit of poverty will jump off on you. And I have a lot of thoughts on that statement and other ones like that, but I'll save that for another day. But just think of that. So if I'm a poor person and I'm hearing pastors, because I don't know if you all remember, and maybe it's still a thing, I do not go to church, that some years ago, like, prosperity preaching was really, really big, and they treated poverty as like a punishment for not being obedient to God. So if things were falling out around in your life, it must be because you're not tithing enough, you're not obedient to God, you don't have enough faith. Whatever the case may be, your poverty is tied to your faith in God in some kind of way, or lack thereof. And as someone who was poor during that time and going to church during that time, where the break for me came was, I just don't think God would want me spending my last $5. Like, he and I both know that all I have is this $5 to get back to gas. And I don't think it's me being unfaithful to not give up that last $5 to a well outfitted church that looks to be just fine, to be like they're not suffering, and the pastor doesn't appear to either. I just don't see the purpose in that. So that might be some of the reasons. A lot of, just a long story short, a lot of stuff in church doesn't curl over. A lot of way things go don't curl all the way over. And we live in a society that's such that people are not going to be afraid to call those things out and question. When I was younger or coming up, you really couldn't, because any question you asked was considered blasphemy. If you ask, why is this or why is that, you would get struck with that's blasphemous and we don't question God. So people are finding African traditional religions. More people are leaning into African traditional religions like Hoodoo, Ifa. So that's not necessarily going to be in the church. I know a lot of people, especially throughout the pandemic, kind of started taking that route and taking a different look at spirituality. And that took a lot of people out of church. Now, because we're in like another recession or, you know, things are tight, that will also take people out of church. But there's a multitude of reasons why someone may not go to church anymore. And I just think that it would make more sense if we just address those things. But what I've always thought was a good idea, if you've ever watched, was it Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? Heather joined like a choir for ex-Mormons, for people that aren't in the church anymore. And if you're someone who enjoys, because I enjoy gospel music, I enjoyed being in the choir when I was in church. And I think it would be cool if someone just started like, not non-denomination, this is not religious at all. It's just people getting together to sing songs from the choir more. And here's another reason I just thought about. The industry, look at what's going on now. And I think about Stacey Lattisaw and how, you know, she had an R&B career that was on the rise and she stopped and was like, no, because what it is, it's going to take for me to stay in this industry. I am not willing to sacrifice my faith to continue in this industry. And that might be it too. A lot of folks, it's not worth it because they too have seen the wizard behind the curtain and they're like, I'm not going to sacrifice my faith for fame. So that could be some of it too. But nonetheless, you have to address those issues. And once you address those issues, you'll get your answer, or perhaps you'll get more people that are coming onto the scene that have come through church. But that's, you know, my 2 cents on it. All right, now it is lip combo time. And I think I'm going to go with something soft. Color Fix again. This is the shade Rustic. It looks like a nice, like soft pink. And so I'm anxious to try this and see how it goes. I'm going to use Color Fix 2 as a liner. So yeah, if I'm going to use Color Fix as a liner, I'm going to use the shade Nude 8 along with this. Just a nice muted lip. Nope, that's too light. Let's try this. Let's try Nude 12 because that was too light. Oh, that's better. Okay, that's what I needed, the Nude 8. Just a little darker. I don't know how I feel about this color either. I don't know. I'm gonna smudge it out and see what goes. I might have to put something on top of it, but I don't know. Okay. I mean, am I in love with it? Okay, and then we're also going to add some glaze to this so it will not be this matte. So this is where I've landed with the lip liner. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Now the shade that I'm using to fill this in, this is the shade Rustic. Looks like a nice light pink. And I know it looks really ashy right now, but just work with me. And it's gonna look dry like this because this is a matte formula, but again, I have the glaze to put on top of it, and that's gonna give it a shine. But yeah, I'm liking it so far. All right, we're gonna keep it in the family. I'm gonna use my favorite shade, Evermore, from Danessa Myricks. All right, yes, just kind of smudge this out. I hate a harsh line. Okay. I'm getting where I wanted to be. Use the Color Fix glaze, and this is in the shade Clear. I'm just gonna apply a little bit all over my lips to kind of give this a shiny look. And sometimes I will just take the brush and mix it with like a little bit of the leftover color that I have, and that turns it into a gloss itself. And I like to apply it dry first. I find that it lasts longer when I apply it dry first and then put the glaze on top of it instead of mixing it with the glaze. And see, it almost changes the color. See, almost, listen, snapped it back to life, baby. All right, Saints and Eights, this is where I landed with the lip gloss. I went back and added a little bit of the Fenty lip oil, and this is in the shade Copper Cookie, just to give it a little bit more shine. And now I'm super pleased with how all of this turned out. I'm really impressed too with the way that the red blush ended up coming out on my skin. I will be in Sephora tomorrow looking for some more red blush formulations because I think red blush is going to be in the rotation for a while. while. I also want to try purple blush too because I heard that it eats on dark skinned women, so I want to try that. All the products that I use today are in the description along with all the music that we listened to and discussed. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Music and Makeup Podcast. Till next time, Saints and Ain'ts, love you, bye.